In this video, we are going to follow the instruction to perform the harmonization step on your data for the MELD graph Docker. So you will find all the information and instruction on our GitHub MELD project MELD graph and a full documentation by clicking here. So to compute the harmonization parameters for a new scanner, you can follow our instruction here. So the purpose of the harmonization is to remove the site or scanner based bias that can be in your data. This is a step that is optional. You can use a MELD graph package without removing this bias, but we recommend to do it. And to be able to remove this bias, you first need to compute the harmonization parameter for that specific site or scanner. So for that, we recommend to use at least 20 subjects. It can be a combination of both patients and controls, or just patients or just controls. You will just need to make sure that if you're choosing patients for the harmonization, that they don't have very strong cortical abnormalities that could bias the harmonization. We are now going to follow the instruction provided. So first you will need to ensure that you have the Docker or the native installation of the MELD graph package. Then you will need to choose an harmonization code for this scanner that starts by the letter H and is followed by a number. And this code will be associated to the scanner you are computing the harmonization parameter for. And then you will be able to use this code to harmonize your patient data before predicting the lesion. Now we're going to organize our data so that you can run this step to compute the harmonization parameters. I will go briefly on this instruction as they're all detailed already in the guidelines, but you can prepare the data in two different formats. The MELD graph package accepts the bits standard structure, which is explained here. But it also accepts our old MELD structure that was used for the MELD classifier, so the first version of the FCD detector. So I'm going to show you how this format looks like in our data in our folder. So if I go on the MELD data folder that you already downloaded during the installation process, and you go in input, I have already prepared my data for the harmonization, and I have used the old MELD format, which has two folders, a T1 folder, a FLAIR folder, and you have the T1 weighted file, Nifty file on it, and the FLAIR file there. But you also have an example of the bits format in the subtest 001, which is provided as well during this installation. And you can see that the format is different. You have an ANAT folder, and then the file name needs to contain the subject ID as well. But everything is explained and detailed on our instruction, and you can also find more information about how to use the bits format on their websites. Once you have organized the MRI data in the input folder, you will need to also provide some demographic information that are required to compute the harmonization parameters, such as the age and the sex of the subjects. So for that, you can fill this CSV file here, and you can see that this CSV file will already have the columns and already have an example for the subject test 001, but I have already provided information for the harmonization subjects. And you will have a column where you put the ID of the subject, another column where you put the harmonization code that is used, a column where you precise if the subject is a control or a patient, their age in years, if they're a female or a male, and the scanner, which should be the same, either 3 Tesla or 1.5 Tesla, but for every harmonization code, it should be the same scanner used. And once we have that, we can save it. The last things will be to fill this list of subjects to be able to precise which subjects are used for the harmonization. So it doesn't matter if in your demographic files you have multiple subjects that are not used for the harmonization, because what is important is to mention the harmonization subjects on this list of subjects that will be given to the command. So we can now go back to computing the harmonization parameter instructions. And we have organized our data, provided the demographic information, and the next step is now to run the pipeline. To run the pipeline, you will need to be into the MELD graph folder where you have stored the scripts. And for that, you can click right and open the terminal. And I'm just going to replace this one. And you will now just need to copy this command. And you will need to change what is into bracket like this. So here we need to put our harmonization code, H4. You will need to put your subject list ID, which is into your MELD data. And my subject list ID is list subjects.txt. You will need to make sure that that this file is in this folder here in the MELD data folder, and that you're only providing the name of the file and not the path. Now I am adding my demographic file, and I have added this flag that is arm only to mention that I just want to run the harmonization. I just want to compute the harmonization parameter, and I don't want the command to continue and do the prediction on these subjects. And we're just going to click enter. And now you can see that it is starting to run.
You'll need to make sure that you have done the native installation. Then what you want to do to harmonize your data is you first need to know where your MELD graph algorithm is stored. For me, it's on my desktop, and your MELD graph data is stored, which for me again is on my desktop. And here is my MELD graph data folder, and in the input folder are all my patients' MRI scans. Now to harmonize the data, I need to open a terminal window. And the first thing that I'm going to do is on the harmonization guideline, click on native, which gives you the instructions for people who've done the native installation. And it says CD to the MELD graph folder. So I'm going to CD, and my MELD graph folder is on my desktop. Next, I need to activate FreeSurfer. So I'm going to export FreeSurfer home, and my FreeSurfer is stored in applications, and I have version 7.2.0. Next, I need to copy this, which says sources, my FreeSurfer. And now I'm ready to run the harmonization command. So what I need to do is copy the command and change. So going back, the first thing I need to do is change my harmonization code to be the code for my center. So for me, I'm going to put H1. I then need to have my list of subject IDs, which Mathilde covered earlier, which is in list subjects.text, and then the demographics information, which again Mathilde covered previously. So demographics underscore file dot CSV. You can see how easy it is to make a typo, but you need to make sure that that's all correct. can see that my demographics file is in my MELD graph data folder, and my list of subjects is also there. And then I can run the harmonization, so I just press enter to run the harmonization.
So this is going to take a bit of time because it needs to process all the data to run them through FreeSurfer and then extract the features and process the features and then compute the harmonization parameters. But you can tune this command by mentioning that these optional variables, flags, for example, the parallelized flags, which enable you to run these multiple subjects in parallel in function of how many CPU you have. So if you have 6 CPU, it will be able to run 6 of the subjects in parallel for the segmentation. You can also mention the fast surfer flag, which means that instead of using the free surfer segmentation, it will perform a fast surfer segmentation, which is a bit faster. It's approximately 2 hours if you're only using T1 scan and 4 hours if you're using flare scan as well, compared to the 6 hours that are required by free surfer. And yes, and this if you want to be able to predict as well on these patients that you're using for the harmonization, to compute the harmonization parameter, you can just remove this armor only flag, and the pipeline will just continue to do the prediction. So now we can see that the segmentation has finished for all the subjects, and now it is trying to compute the harmonization parameter. So it's mentioning that there is no combat parameter that exists for this site, and therefore that it's going to run the preprocessing on the features and then create these harmonization parameters for you. So we're just going to give it a minute until it's finishing. Um, what I wanted to mention as well is that you can find a log of this pipeline here. So I'm going to show you how it looks like. So this is the log of your terminal. And so if you encounter an error, you can send us this log. So the harmonization is now finished, and as mentioned here, you will find the output harmonization parameters in the output folder, preprocessed served data, your harmonization code folder, and you will find the file here. But you don't need to use this file, as if you want to predict on a new subject and you want to use the harmonization parameter, you just need to mention the harmonization code. So you are now ready to predict on the new patient, and you can follow our next tutorial video to follow the instruction to run on the new patients using the harmonization code.